Imagine sitting at home, popcorn in hand, navigating through the channels when suddenly your favorite celebrity, the iconic Robert De Niro, finds himself engulfed in a whirlwind of controversy on live television. It was a primetime slot on a popular morning talk show that boasted a star-studded guest list. But this day promised something entirely different. It was set to transform into an explosive confrontation that would leave viewers worldwide gasping. Robert De Niro, beloved for his intense, award-winning performances and candid persona, stepped into the spotlight wearing his trademark charm, expecting the usual small talk about his latest film. But this was not just another Hollywood press moment. Enter Karoline Leavitt, a fiery political commentator known for her sharp wit and unabashed approach to pressing social issues. Her reputation for confronting high-profile figures with challenging questions had preceded her, and her appearance on the show was enough to raise eyebrows. No one could predict the fireworks that were about to ignite. As the live audience buzzed with excitement, the show host introduced Niro, and the applause echoed through the studio. He smiled and waved, his expression radiating the confidence that had built his storied career. However, Leavitt was ready to shake things up. Without wasting a moment, she leaned forward, her eyes locking onto De Niro with piercing intensity. "Robert," she began, her tone both assertive and inviting, "let's talk about the headlines you've made in the past year. They go beyond your filmography. Your outspoken political statements have stirred quite the debate. What drives you to use your platform in such a public way?" The audience, electrified by her unexpected directness, leaned in even closer, sensing that the tone of the conversation was about to shift dramatically. De Niro's expression slightly faltered, but he quickly regained his composure. "I believe in standing up for what I feel is right. My work goes beyond acting. It's about making a difference." The audience remained hushed, captivated by the tension building in the air. Yet, Leavitt was only getting started. "While that may be your intention," she pressed, her voice gaining momentum, "don't you think that your comments can sometimes alienate the very audience who admires your work?" Here, the stakes began to rise. She continued to dig deeper. "You've often used strong language against certain political figures. Aren't you concerned about the impact that might have on your fans?" With each question, the atmosphere thickened, and De Niro's initial ease began to wane. He moved slightly in his seat, visibly reflecting on Leavitt's inquiries. This was not the typical fanfare interview he was accustomed to, and the stakes had never felt higher. As the discussion unfolded, the audience could feel the tension brewing, transforming into a charged atmosphere where every word mattered. De Niro, known for his quick thinking and sharp retorts, was now faced with a unique challenge: how to defend his artistic freedom while grappling with the backlash of his public persona. The proverbial chess match between celebrity and commentator was in full swing, and everyone was enthralled. Little did they know that this fiery exchange would set off a chain reaction, capturing the attention of viewers far beyond the studio. As Leavitt pressed on, daring to challenge De Niro's convictions and prompting him to reflect on his public persona, the conversation moved toward an inevitable climax, one that would shock not just those present in the studio, but millions watching across the nation. Would De Niro maintain his cool, or would the pressure provoke an unexpected meltdown? The tension was palpable, and anticipation hung thick in the air. Leavitt wasted no time in steering the conversation toward De Niro's outspoken comments about political figures and key social issues. "You've been vocal about your disdain for certain politicians and public figures," she pressed, her tone unwavering and laced with determination. "But do you think it's time to reflect on your own actions? The public deserves to hear the truth about your involvement in activism and the media narratives you've pushed." Her words caught De Niro off guard, momentarily disrupting his composure. The usually confident actor's smile faltered as he braced himself for the incoming storm. Known for his ability to handle tough questions, this felt different, more personal. "I speak out because I care," he replied, his voice slightly trembling, betraying the calm facade he had maintained. "My intentions are always for the people." The sincerity was palpable, but underneath it lay a layer of tension that was beginning to unravel. Leavitt, unfazed and undeterred, saw her opportunity and pressed even harder. But have you ever considered that sometimes your words can impact people negatively? What about the division created by your comments? The studio was now a cauldron of anxiety and intrigue, as both the live audience and viewers at home sensed the brewing conflict. The air felt electric, thick with anticipation, as all eyes locked onto De Niro, wondering how he would respond to such a direct challenge. This was no longer just an interview. It was an unscripted battle of wills. The audience could hardly breathe, collectively holding their breaths, aware that this dialogue could take unexpected turns. Karoline's bold and fearless approach resonated with many, and social media began to buzz with reactions from viewers who were captivated by the unfolding drama. De Niro struggled to regain his footing within the discussion, still feeling the heat from Leavitt's incisive questioning. "Look, I've got a right to express my opinions just as everyone else does," he replied, attempting to channel his frustration into a more solid argument. "The world is a complicated place, and sometimes you have to raise your voice to be heard." Yet, the conviction in his voice was beginning to falter, as if he was wrestling with the very essence of his public persona. Karoline wasn't finished yet. "Absolutely, you do have that right, but at what cost? With great influence comes the responsibility to think about how your words might affect others. Is it possible that sometimes you've crossed the line?" Her follow-up question hit hard, like a slap against the backdrop of De Niro's recent political tirades. The pressure was building, and De Niro's expressions were shifting rapidly. Frustration clashed with introspection. Anger simmered just below the surface. In an industry where he has faced countless directors and producers, this was a new kind of adversary, one who was equipped with sharp questions that pierced through the glitz and glamour of celebrity life to touch upon deeper truths. As the exchange intensified, De Niro's confusion was palpable. Was he still in control of this narrative, or had he unwittingly become the subject of scrutiny he had often directed at others? The audience, sensing the volatility, leaned in even closer, their faces a mix of curiosity and concern. This confrontation was not just about Hollywood glitz or political commentary. It was a human moment, a reflection of the broader societal divides where celebrity opinions shape the cultural landscape. The stakes were high, and this unscripted reality felt raw and relatable. Here was De Niro, the iconic actor and voice of a generation, now vulnerable and exposed in a way he had not anticipated. Would he rise to the challenge? Or would this confrontation signal a turning point in how the audience viewed him? The tension in the studio was thick enough to cut with a knife, making for a captivating spectacle that gripped viewers across the nation, leaving them eager for more. As the conversation escalated, Robert De Niro fought to maintain his composure, but the pressure was mounting. His responses, once calm and collected, became increasingly animated, and the confident smile that often defined him faded into a mask of frustration. "You think you know what I'm about?" he shouted, the color rising in his cheeks, his voice tinged with barely contained anger. "This isn't just about me. It's about the bigger picture." The intensity of his outburst shocked the audience, who suddenly found themselves witnessing a very different side of the Oscar-winning actor. Leavitt, undeterred by the shift in De Niro's demeanor, doubled down on her questioning. "But Robert, by constantly calling out others, aren't you diverting attention from your own shortcomings? The audience idolizes you, yet your own life isn't so spotless." Those words were like daggers, striking at the heart of De Niro's carefully constructed persona. She was diving deep into a territory few dared to explore when it came to celebrities, critiquing not just their public statements, but their private lives as well. His expression, already edged with frustration, transformed into something more volatile: fury. "You don't know anything about me," he snapped, hands clenching into fists on the table as he leaned forward, his piercing gaze locking onto Leavitt. It was a defensive stance, an instinctive reaction where he felt cornered, and for a brief moment, the audience was left breathless, stunned by the unapologetic honesty of the situation. It was a fall from grace that occurred with breathtaking speed, as the revered star morphed into a man visibly rattled by the weight of scrutiny. The audience was caught in a whirlwind of emotions. Disbelief, shock, and empathy coursed through the studio. Here was De Niro, the embodiment of Hollywood talent and grit, revealing raw vulnerability under the hot lights of public interrogation. It was fascinating, yet unsettling. Many were accustomed to seeing him portray tough characters who navigated pain and anger with a bravado that often felt larger than life. Now, in this very real moment, he seemed to be breaking down, struggling with the very critiques he had often levied against others. Leavitt, remaining steadfast, took a deep breath, acknowledging the shift in the atmosphere. "I'm not here to take you down, Robert," she reassured him, her tone softening just enough to evince a flicker of understanding. "I want to understand your perspective. We see you speak passionately about justice and truth, so why not apply that same lens to your own life?" In that instant, the confrontation turned from a feud into a dialogue, albeit a heated one. Understanding the implications of what they were discussing, the audience leaned in closer, hungry for the cathartic release that honesty might bring. This moment reached beyond Hollywood gossip. It spoke to the complex relationship between public figures and the expectations placed upon them. As the tension transformed, it became clear that both Leavitt and De Niro were grappling with the realities of their own beliefs, the consequences of their words, and the burdens of their legacies. In the heat of the exchange, there lay an undercurrent of respect for one another's beliefs, albeit expressed through passion and conflict. The tackles were hard-hitting, tearing down the facades they both wore in public. This was no longer just an interview. It was a reflection of societal discourse about accountability, vulnerability, and the often unspoken truths that lay beneath the surface of fame. The studio lit up with an intriguing blend of emotion and tension, making it evident that this confrontation would not only define the day, but perhaps reshape the narratives around public figures like De Niro in the future. How would he respond now? Would he fight back, or would he allow himself to be illuminated in a way that was raw and real? The world would be watching. The fallout from that moment of confrontation between Karoline Leavitt and Robert De Niro was nothing short of spectacular. In the hours following the heated exchange, clips of their duel flooded social media, igniting debates across various platforms. What started as a conversation about accountability in celebrity culture quickly transformed into a viral phenomenon that captured public interest. The commentary was swift and varied, reflecting a polarized audience. Some hailed Leavitt's daring approach, while others criticized her methods as being overly aggressive. Supporters of Leavitt praised her courage, flooding Twitter and Instagram with affirmations like, "Finally, someone is holding celebrities accountable." Many felt that this confrontation was a watershed moment, signaling a new era where public figures could no longer escape criticism for their words and actions. These advocates lauded her for stepping into a space typically reserved for lighthearted banter and pushing it toward more significant, substantive issues. "It's about time someone challenges these icons on their hypocrisy," wrote one enthusiastic viewer, echoing the sentiments of many who cheered her on. On the flip side, however, critics emerged quickly, decrying Leavitt's tactics. "This wasn't an interview. It was an ambush," they claimed, arguing that her approach overshadowed the conversation. Many viewers took to their keyboards to argue that she had sparked controversy for the sake of ratings rather than genuine discourse, potentially undermining the critical issues she aimed to discuss. This sharp divide resulted in a galaxy of blog posts, commentaries, and hot takes, all reflecting the myriad opinions on what transpired that day. Robert De Niro, a seasoned veteran of the industry long accustomed to scrutiny, found himself at the center of this whirlwind that shifted perceptions significantly. His history of intense roles and candid critiques of societal issues had endeared him to many, establishing a reputation that put him in the crosshairs of public opinion. Yet this incident marked a major turning point. For the first time, he appeared not just as a beleaguered celebrity, but as a vulnerable human being grappling with personal scrutiny on a massive stage. The following day, in an effort to regain control of the narrative, De Niro took to social media to address the incident directly. In a heartfelt post, he wrote, "I let my emotions get the best of me. Everyone deserves respect, and that goes for differing opinions as well." His candid acknowledgement struck a chord with many fans, who appreciated that he didn't shy away from admitting when he was wrong. However, this sincere attempt at reconciliation drew mixed reactions. While some viewed it as a commendable gesture, others questioned whether he was genuinely remorseful or simply attempting to save face following the backlash. Nevertheless, the damage had been done. The incident not only stoked discussions about celebrity culture, but also reignited important conversations surrounding accountability and public perception. Questions arose about the blurred lines between celebrity influence and responsibility, highlighting how easily the criticisms of one figure could catalyze broader societal discussions about the messages they propagate. As debates unfolded online and on news platforms, many began to reflect on what accountability truly means in the context of fame. The confrontation became emblematic of a cultural turning point, one that challenged both celebrities and audiences alike to reconsider the power dynamics inherent in public discourse. It became clear that this was more than just a singular event. It signaled a shift in how society viewed the interaction between public figures and the communities that idolized them, reshaping the landscape of celebrity culture for years to come. Would this spark broader reckoning in Hollywood and beyond, fostering an environment in which honesty and accountability reign supreme? Only time would tell.